Hello, everybody. Welcome to the first episode of the All Spawn Pod. I'm your host, Chemical. I'm joined by Frenzy, the Great Penguini,
Howdy.
Justice,
How's it going?
and Beggle.
Yo.
Here you'll listen to the five of us consistently argue about some shitty takes and some absolutely hot ones revolving around the CDL and all of Call of Duty in general. Now, for our first segment ever for the All Spawn Pod, let's talk about champs, guys. So, LA Thieves. What were your expectations going into champs for the LA Thieves? Did you guys think they were favorites, or did you think they were kind of underdogs and people were leaning more towards other teams?
I honestly thought they were just gonna get top 4 and then get bounced.
Yeah, I think everyone knew they were gonna be contenders, but I guess with the whole Vanguard, the pattern of someone new winning an event every single event, I guess everyone expected a FaZe or someone else to win it, but they were always contenders considering their Major 4 performance.
I expected FaZe, and I had LA Thieves second on my predictability of winning it.
Personally, I thought the Thieves were favorites, and I have multiple reasons why I think they were favorites. They had such a deep map pool going into champs that in a best-of-9 series, and I thought they were going to make it to the finals because of their deep map pool. In a best-of-9 series, I didn't see anybody beating them. And I just think they also showed how dominant they can be in S&D, and you saw that over the whole tournament where they were just beating teams that are really good at S&D, like FaZe. Optic was good at S&D this year. They were beating them consistently by a lot. And so I just thought going in, Thieves would definitely win. And I was right, I guess, but that was
I also feel like it was the hard point because they 100-point club FaZe and Optic.
Yeah, I definitely got to agree with Frenzy there, though. I definitely had LAT as my favorites going in, mainly because of their map pool. And the second that they had beaten Optic 250 to 56 on that Gavutsu, in my head, I was like, nobody is beating this LAT team this weekend.
Yeah, after that
they're looking this, they're winning all of their S&Ds. Yeah, they're winning all of their S&Ds, and they're looking this good in their respawns, especially their hard points. Nobody's going to beat them. And the second that they beat, I mean, everybody here in our group chat can attest to that. The second that they beat FaZe in winners finals, I said they were not going to lose. When they got that veto and were able to veto that Bow Cage hardpoint, nobody was beating them. Their map pool is just too deep. They're way too good on Berlin, and they're the best Gavutsu team in the game. So at that point, it was no contest.
I think the big thing about the S&D was that I was talking about is they were consistent in hardpoint all year. That was their mode. Hardpoint was their mode all year. And then they figured out S&D, and then it was over. As soon as they figured out S&D and got better at S&D, the pickup of Shane as a coach, I think, is really overlooked too.
Shane was absolutely excellent for them. I don't know what Shane did to change their mentality or the way they approach S&D, but that man single-handedly may have changed their season completely. I mean, they went 0-5 in a major qualifiers, and then they get top 8 in that major, and then they hire Shane, and they win the next one.
They win
the next one in dominant fashion.
I want to say something a bit off the wall about Shane, and as to why he might have made the team better.
Oh boy!
I heard I heard he has quite the coke addiction and doesn't mind sharing it with people.
There's been a few comp players
that they're just cracked.
Shane has not been the first person in the COD scene with the coke addiction. I mean,
I've heard a lot about it all. I've not heard personally.
Shout out Dylan, if anybody remembers Dylan from Reciprocities. That dude was
Dylan COD.
He's who knows where Dylan COD is at now. Holy.
There's actually rumors that Shane blocked the offers for Dylan as well. So I don't know if it's true. I don't know what's true. I don't know what's not true. I'm just saying what I saw on Twitter by random people.
On Twitter, though, isn't she known? What is her ad? I don't know what her ad is, but isn't she known for stirring the pot? Hasn't she stirred the pot?
Are you talking about the Ask Junie girl?
Yeah, hasn't she stirred the pot with players before?
I don't know about on the big scale, but when I was tight knit with Zed and Dens, she was in there a lot, and she was always on some bullshit. Always on some bullshit.
She just seems like one of those Twitter girls that in the comm that likes to, turn the pot and try and get, shit spewing to try and just bring people down. And honestly, I don't fuck with that. Like, people like that are corny as hell.
Yeah, she's not my favorite.
So, outside of grand finals, were there any really, like, big shockers for you at champs?
Why?
Any of you guys?
Boston taking LAT to round 11.
Yeah, that honestly surprised me.
That doesn't surprise me. That doesn't surprise me.
Against Thieves. Why did Optic play Goofy
Yeah,
against Thieves?
yeah.
What do you play? What
The
do you
not
play?
so good vetoes.
What do you play?
And he
I'd
has-
rather them
they
play
have
Berlin.
3 ARs. They have 3 ARs. Why do you play Gavutu?
Optic choosing to Ego Chow, and it wasn't even one Gavutu either. They chose Ego Chow and won both Gavutus.
Both Gavutus.
Then a Berlin S&D.
Yeah, I definitely think Rambo needs to be questioned about the vetoes there.
You have shots.
Those
in
vetoes are
Scum.
very questionable.
You can't play Bow Cage. Thieves.
Nah, LAT,
Yeah,
LAT
Thieves vetoed Bowcage, but still, even then, you're better off on Berlin. Shotzi is a rat on Berlin. We've seen what Shotzi can do on Berlin Hardpoint before. He is a rat. He can single-handedly win you games on Berlin Hardpoint.
LAT as well. Against LAT as well.
Okay, yeah, but also I feel like, I mean, I think at that time in like Thieves thing, Berlin was their map on everything, every mode. Berlin was their map.
Oh, yeah.
So you
Definitely
have to
think
take
teams forgot how good they were on Gavutu.
exactly, and at that point you just pick your poison. Like, what do you think you can beat them on, and what do you feel better on going into champs? And that we don't know what their scrims are going like, if they felt better on Gavutu or not. So I don't know. And then I want to go back.
Or maybe
wanna-
even said that Gavutu was Optic's pick in that series.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I also want to go back to the Boston taking LAT to round 5 or game 5. I don't think that's a surprise at all. We've seen in Vanguard in general how many just the sheer amount of game 5s and the sheer amount of hard points that go to 250 to 240. It's 2 gunfights throughout the map that can change a whole series. So it did not surprise me.
Yeah, and we
In the
know,
slightest.
from just past experiences that LAT team in particular and that pairing of Kenny and Octane on Champs Thursdays can be a very slow start. I mean, we saw it in
Very true.
BO4 when they got upset by Luminosity on day 1. They are a very slow starting team, but once they hit their groove and they find their pace, they become nearly unstoppable. They play perfect Call of Duty.
That was LAT's only game 5 the entire weekend, was it not?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, they were the only team to take more than one map off of LAT.
And I think in this game, that shows how dominant LAT was at the end of the game. Only one game 5 in this game,
1000%.
without a doubt.
That's crazy.
Yeah, with how mixy Vanguard is, that no team in the last 2 events were really able to take LAT to a game 5 convincingly. Yeah, they were definitely far and away the best team at the end of Vanguard.
I have one more surprise about the major or the champs.
Let's hear it.
The fact that accuracy can still slay.
Yeah,
What in the
Dude.
hell?
yeah, those Berlins. Lamar was going rogue on that one Berlin. He pulled out a sub for those 3 hills. He went rogue and he was killing with it.
Huskin, bro, and was just piecing.
Lamar did not give a fuck. He went absolutely rogue.
I said, fuck it.
Another thing I want to bring up, for real, literally draws a fuck at that. Anyway, another thing I want to bring up is, what is your thought of the crowd giving away 2 Ninja Diffusers in the grand final?
It's ridiculous.
I think it's corny, but I definitely think the second one was deserved. It was kind of a get back at you. You know what I mean?
I
Like
agree.
the first one was super corny, but when the second one got given away for Cell, it was like, okay, you're 1 for 1 now. You know, it's not like LAT got gifted a free round and then they won, 5-5 without the crowd giving away another Ninja Diffuse. So it's not like you could say, oh, the crowd won LAT that map and then in turn won LAT champs because they gave away a Ninja Diffuse for both sides. So.
This is a little
But definitely corny, definitely L crowd, no ice out of the crowd. And I mean, I understand why they don't have the soundproofing booths because it can be such a big fire hazard because the doors have been known in the past to get kind of stuck shut and not be able to open right away. But they've got the CDL, I mean, you're a $25 million buy-in league. You've got to figure something out. Hire an R&D team and figure out a way to get, fire-safe, soundproof booths because the crowd is an L. You're never going to change that the crowd gives away Ninja Diffuses.
No, ever. And then that's the thing, I think, that I see everyone getting all mad about it, and I just, I don't know how you change it.
There's no way to change it with the crowd. The only things that you can do is either online COD, which absolutely nobody wants,
Nope.
or soundproofing booths.
Well, some crowds were just respectable on their own accord as well. We need
Yeah,
more of
but-
those people around.
That's true, but you can't.
Yeah,
you
but
can't
most NA
get
crowds are going to give
everybody.
away.
Yeah.
Consistently, I think EU crowds wouldn't give away stuff, but because EU crowds are a constant W, EU crowds are the best crowds. But NA crowds are consistently L's.
But like,
They're
agree.
weirdos.
you had
Agree.
crowds like Major 5 who were like energetic, but they weren't giving away shit. They just had high energy.
No, when it came to NYSL, crowds were definitely giving away ninja diffuses. My perfect example is Hydra when he was getting ninja'd by Octane on Desert Siege. Crowd gave that away for Hydra.
Cold War Major 5, Cold War Major 5.
Oh, Cold War Major 5. Yeah, Cold War Major 5 was pretty dumb.
Very dumb.
Yeah, they were a pretty good crowd. I
that
think
was
that
also
was
the
mainly
first-
because though everybody was like super shocked about what was happening.
Yeah.
Like nobody could believe what they were witnessing. They were witnessing the biggest full sale in COD history. So nobody wanted to give it away because it was like, holy shit, is Minnesota gonna win this and come back from being down 4-0? So I don't think anybody wanted to jeopardize that chance for Minnesota to do that.
Yeah.
Fair point.
But definitely on average, L crowd. L crowd definitely.
Most of the time. Most of the time.
L crowd, L crowd.
So does anybody else have any other champs hot takes or anything they want to spew out?
I do,
have a
actually.
question for the four of y'all. I mean, say Boston wins that Game 5 Round 11.
Dude.
How far do we think Optic goes in that tournament?
Optic?
I think Optic still gets top 4.
Yeah, they
I
still get
think
top four.
LAT makes a losers run into grand finals.
You
They
think
weren't-
Optic loses to Boston?
To Boston? No, Optic would lose to LAT.
Yeah, but like
And
if they beat Boston after Boston beat LAT, then Optic would be guaranteed top.
I get what he's saying. I get what he's saying.
Yeah, they don't play LAT until they're in losers, or
I know,
LAT
but
makes
that's
the
what I'm
They
saying.
run.
could have got top three.
Top
They could have
four.
got top three.
They,
I don't
would
think
be
it
top
changes.
four,
They,
top three.
they still don't win the tournament. That's what all I have to say.
Yeah,
No,
they
they
don't
don't-
win the tournament.
They don't beat. They don't. I think there are 3
They
teams
don't
in that
beat
tournament.
Thieves.
They don't.
They
Beat.
don't beat Thieves.
They don't. Yeah, they don't. I don't think they beat Seattle either. With how well Seattle was playing on hard points, I don't think they beat
Seattle.
Seattle either. You have to remember, before Seattle ran into FaZe in that losers final, Seattle was 8-0 in hard points on that weekend. They were final on hard points.
True.
They were the
Brad
second best
coming
hard
up with
point team
all
in the
the
game behind
clutch
LAT that
plays.
weekend.
Fair enough.
Pred went nutty, obviously.
Yeah.
No,
Oh
Fred
yeah.
always
Fred
does
hard
that.
carried.
I think he hit a new fucking level from his rookie of the year form. Like he was beyond that.
No.
I'm excited to see Fred next year.
Oh, dude,
Yeah,
shit.
Fred is
Yeah.
gonna be Fred and Sib.
He's gonna be a menace, bro.
I don't remember who had the take. I don't remember who had the take, but somebody said before that champs run, somebody was on the fence about Pred and Sid being like that superstar caliber player for years to come, like he saw with Simp in BO4, and then that champs run for Pred and Sib kind of solidified it for him and was like, okay, these guys are going to be superstars for the foreseeable future. And honestly, it kind of did the same for me.
All right.
Frenzy, what was your hot take? You said you had a hot take for champs. Well,
It's not that hot, but I just have a question. Do you think FaZe had a grand finals mental block this year, and do you think it will carry on to next year at all?
I don't think FaZe had a grand finals mental block. I think they just had mental blocks against teams they played.
They played different teams in every grand final. They were the only team that made grand final.
So at the beginning of the year, they had a mental block against Optic because it's the Optic. There was so much hype around Optic, and everybody was trolling FaZe because at the beginning of this year and the end of last year, they tried to play the villains of the CDL. Everybody was making fun of them. Sim specifically. You're trying to be the villain of the CDL. You're a little 5'3" gremlin. Nobody sees you as a villain. Stop it. And then Major 2, I mean, come on now. Major 2 was just a fluke. Spart with the Volk.
True.
It would never
True.
happen again. Never happen again.
But they were so good at S&D. I'm not saying that they were the better team. I'm saying they were the better S&D team that weekend. And they didn't even use the Volk in S&D.
Yeah, but the only reason they won that event was because they were stealing respawns because of the Volk.
Yeah.
Yeah, 10-0 in S&D is crazy though too.
10-0 in S&D is
Every
crazy.
Still hard
S&D,
point
but
because-
there's 3
yeah.
respawns in a series and 2 S&Ds. You have to win at least 1 respawn. And
Yeah,
they did that.
that's why LEG was winning series because Spart would play well enough in a hard point to be able to steal them a respawn.
You still have to tip 10-0.
You do have to tip 10-0.
Yeah.
I do agree.
Now, obviously, the Pro-Am, nobody gives a shit about the Pro-Am. It was LAT versus New York. I mean, the finals was still a best of 5.
If they would have had spectators, it would have been sick.
Yeah, nobody gave a shit about the Pro-Am. I mean, finals were a best of 5. It had pool play, but the pool play was so shitty. Every pro team, other than who was the one pro team that didn't make it? Was it Paris?
It was
No,
Surge,
Paris actually made it
and
out.
Rocker
I
that
think it was
didn't make
Rocker.
It was Surge, Paris, and Rocker.
No, Paris made it. Paris made it out. Paris made it out.
Yes,
Out of
there
the
was
Pro-Am.
one-
Make it
there
out.
was their
Only
one
one AM team made it. Only one AM team made it, and it was Toronto Ultra NA. What pro team did not make it out
I
of
know
their pool?
Rocker didn't make it out, I know
didn't
that.
make
It was
Rocker
Minnesota.
didn't. Rocker didn't.
I don't
It
Rocker
was
didn't.
Minnesota that didn't make it out of their pool.
I don't think Florida.
Florida
made it.
did make it. Yeah, we made it all the way to the semis.
Because 2 teams made it out of their pool each thing. Actually, no. Yeah, 2 teams. And there was one AM team in every pool.
Yeah, so it would be for. Did
So only one pro team didn't make it
did
over an
LAG
AM.
make it out?
It was. I'm not talking about every other pool. I'm talking about the one
Yeah,
pool that
no,
Toronto
LAG
Ultra was
didn't.
in.
LAG didn't.
What
Yeah,
team did
he's
Toronto
talking about the
Ultra
one
beat out?
pool that Toronto Ultra didn't make out.
Yeah,
And I
what
think
team did Toronto Ultra beat out?
I'm pretty sure it was Rocker.
I think it was Rocker. I think Rocker was in the pool with Toronto Ultra NA.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Because I know Strike X took a game off of a pro team, and everybody was shocked because it was Firepoint 40 won a game, but they didn't make it over a tiebreak. I think.
Bringing it all back. Major 3.
Yeah.
Talking about face.
Yeah. So Major 3, then FaZe played who? Major 3?
Exactly.
Seattle.
Yeah.
Yeah. So at the time, I think they had a mental block against Seattle.
I
I think Pred was just.
Do you think they had a grand
bullshit
finals
that
mental
event.
block?
No, I think Pred was just
I
on his
think-
bullshit that event and just won them the event.
I don't think they had a mental block at all through the year. I just think they got very unfortunate that in the grand finals there was somebody or a few players on the team that were just hot as hell and they just couldn't.
I agree with that.
No, I
overcome it.
definitely think FaZe had a mental block against LAT at the end of that year. I
Nah,
think
LAT
after
was
LAT
just-
came out in
LAT,
Major
I
4,
think-
I think LAT just figured out the game at the
See, the thing
exact
with
right
the,
time.
the
I think it's a
thing.
little bit of both. I think FaZe definitely started to develop a mental block against LAT. After in Major 4, when LAT came out and absolutely clobber stomped them 3-1 in winners, I think FaZe kind of realized at that point, because throughout the entirety of the beginning half of that year, all the way up to Major 4, LAT had a mental block against FaZe. LAT could never beat FaZe. Every time they played, FaZe dominated them. I mean, one of the most dominant series we've seen in CDL history was LAT against FaZe. And FaZe absolutely ran them into the dirt. And then LAT comes out and does that to them in Major 4 Winners Finals. I think that does something to your mental, to whereas you're not like, okay, we're not dominating this team anymore, so we're not only not moving forward, but we're as a team taking steps backwards and becoming worse than we were.
I get that, but I think if you saying that FaZe had a mental block at the end of the year against LAT, do you think that they don't have a mental block at all? You think they beat LAT without anything mental going on?
No, I don't think they beat LAT without a mental block, but I do also think that mental block was there.
Okay.
I
Do
think they
them
had.
not having a mental block against LAT changes the outcome? No, not at all. LAT had too deep of a map pool. Doesn't matter who LAT played in grand finals there, they win.
Yeah, LAT were so.
I
hot.
think they had a mental block in the regular season. I think they're off.
Go ahead.
I think after the regular season, I feel like it went away, but at that point, their map pool wasn't deep enough, and they were never truly ahead like they were in Cold War.
I think that
Like-
has something to do with the game, by the way. I just want to put that out there.
Oh yeah, I
I
definitely
think it has
agree
a little
with
bit
that
something to do
because
with
it's
it.
so inconsistent.
I think
Well,
the
and
BC
we
had a
also
really
know
good-
that the Tiny Terrors absolutely despised this game. I mean, for fuck's sake, halfway through the season, it came out that a BC didn't practice SNDs at all. They didn't scrim SNDs halfway through the season at
Is-
all because
Is
the BC
that
refused
another
to
drama
play
thing
SNDs.
though?
No, that was confirmed by Tupac. That was confirmed by their S&D coach that a BC for a month and a half period was not scrimming search at all.
And I believe that because did you see his tweet after they lost champs?
Oh yeah, he's like, I fucking hate this dog shit game. I mean, everybody.
Oh.
It was common knowledge that the Tiny
The
Terrors
greatest
hated-
tweet.
Yeah, it was common knowledge that the Tiny Terrors hated this game. Now, at the end of the day, if the Tiny Terrors liked this game, do I think it made a difference? No, I personally don't think the way this game was played worked in FaZe's favor. I think FaZe needs a more balanced pace game, not a game as fast as Vanguard. The Tiny Terrors are absolutely cracked, don't get me wrong, But when you're playing on a game as fast as Vanguard, the way that Cell and Alec play, they kind of get along. I mean, don't get me wrong, Cell was amazing this year, but I think a lot of his, he's a very high impact player, but for hardpoint specifically, it seems like a lot of the rotational kills he gets aren't high impact, you know what I mean? Because of the way he positions himself and the pace he plays with, it's just not a winning formula for that FaZe team.
Mm-hmm.
They are not a fast enough team, especially because with Alec and Cell.
Do you think if
Yeah, I
Alec,
just feel like
if they replace
with-
Alec with a true flex, do you think they get better? Or do they need Alec?
I don't think they
to
replace
Super Bowl?
anybody. They need Alec.
At
least
so
for one
he's
more year.
saying hypothetically for this year, if Alec wasn't on this team and it was a faster flex AR, do they win something? Yeah, they probably win an event. I think they probably win an event earlier in the year. I think they would win like Major 2 if they had a faster AR than Alec. Now, that's not saying Alec is bad at this game. Alec was fucking nasty. I mean, we saw what Alec can do in champs when he turns up. When Alec gets in his zone, he is one of the best ARs in the league. Yeah, he had back-to-back 1v3s on that Bocage. But, yeah, I just think it's not a skill issue for FaZe this year. It was a pace issue. Like, the Tiny Terrors were not the issue this year. It was their ARs that were the issue. And as ironic as that sounds with the walking 1.6 Cell, I think he was a part of that issue. I think it was a pacing thing, not a skill thing. Cell was undoubtedly the best player in the world this year. But I think it's a pacing thing. I think Cell is a part of the reason why they did not win.
That's a hot ass take.
If it's a pacing thing, I feel like it's on all 4 people, though. It's not just on the ARs to have the correct pacing.
No,
The subs need to have it too.
The thing with it is, though, so my thing with it is, so the Tiny Terrors would go in and get 2 and break hard points, you know what I mean? But because of the way that Cell and Alec play and the way they position themselves, after Simp and Abisi go down, there is no other trade there for an opening. So the way they played this year is they did not capitalize on trades and positioning like a team like LAT did. Like, if you go and look at, VODs of LAT and the way they play, and teams like Surge, with the way they play, if you look at their arrows, there is always somebody there for an instantaneous trade. With FaZe, that wasn't the case. A lot of the time in respawns, Cell would be hitting a route or on an island somewhere on the map holding a heady. And that, I don't think this year was a formula to win. I just don't think it was. I don't think that's how you win in Vanguard.
I don't think that they could rely on breaking every hill to win. I agree.
No,
And
they
that's what
could.
And I think that's what they
actually
could do in
rotate.
Cold War.
Yeah, they needed to actually rotate.
Because Cold War, you can use your teamwork to break a setup because you actually set up in Cold War and then spawns flip. You don't have to get 2 or 3 waves of kills before spawns will flip.
Yeah, Vanguard is such a fast game too that it's unlike Cold War. Cold War, it takes a good 15 seconds to get from a hill off spawn. With Vanguard, you can be back at a hill and back in the mix within 5 seconds on certain maps.
Think about,
Like on a
P4
Tuscan,
too, bro.
like Tuscan P1 for example, if you spawn like back garden, you can be back at P1 in 5 seconds with tax sprint.
P4 goes
You're
from
instantly back
spawn
into the
on
mix.
back rock,
So it's not where
and
you
take,
can get like
5
2
seconds
down and then
to
have
run in
position
there.
outside the hill.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like with Cold War, the way that FaZe plays worked in Cold War because it was like, okay, Simp and Ibizi could go in and get 2 down, and it takes so long for those 2 players that they killed on trades to get back to hill that Alec and Cell have time to position themselves to get crosses and get trades. But in Vanguard, Cell and Alec don't have that time because they're so far away from the hill the way they play that teams that, Sim and Ibizi kill, they're instantly back at the hill. There's no way. Like, hot take, I do definitely think Cell was a little bit of a stat patter this year.
Yeah. 100%.
Not a ton, but a little bit. A little bit of stat padding.
Guy was
I
one
think-
I
of the best
definitely think team success should have factored into it more with Optic winning an event with Dashi. I do think Dashi should have been MVP. I mean, 0.03 KD and an event win, that's not a big enough difference for me to not give Bruce the MVP, in my opinion.
Okay.
I mean, Cell, over the year, Dashi had a 1.20 KD, Cell had a 1.23. Dashi had an event win, Cell got 2nd place all year. So, I mean,
Consistently, though.
consistently though, but what does that say?
We just talked about that.
They're too slow.
But
Why are
does
they
that
consistently
say you,
getting
in your
second?
opinion, from your eyes, does that say, you're consistently a top 3 team, or you're not good enough to get the job done? You don't have ice.
It says to me that they were consistently the best team in a game that was not consistent.
See, I don't think they were consistently the best team, though. I think they were always consistently top 3. I
They
think
were
it's different. I
consistently
think
good.
no.
But still,
no
okay,
Victor
so
and
still,
Vanguard faced
That's
with
the only
standalone
team that can say that, though.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. That's the only team in all of Vanguard that can say, "Oh yeah, we were consistently top 3 all year."
Yeah, I mean that's fair.
That says something to me.
Okay.
Yeah,
Here's
but
the
is that
question.
less? See, it just depends on how you look at the game. Like, is that more on the Tiny Terrors? Is that more on Cell? You know what I mean?
Okay, so let's say we go.
And especially if you look back at stats this year, a lot of the reasons that FaZe lost, especially with Champs Grand Finals, is Cell in the biggest moments shies away.
Ooh.
So
He
Cam,
shies away in the biggest moments. I mean,
What about
let's
Simp
look at
going
this.
6-22 or whatever it was?
See, Simp had bad hardpoint performances.
Yeah, Simp had a really bad hardpoint performance that map. I will.
Several of them.
Simp got horked on.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know. I feel like sometimes in big moments, Cell can shy away from the spotlight a little bit.
Yeah.
That's not me saying that he's bad and he performs poorly in big moments. That's me more saying like he goes, okay, I'm not gonna be the one to go out and make a play. I'm gonna let Simp do that instead. When in reality, on that FaZe team, it should be Cell going out to make that play.
Yeah, that goes back to the pacing issue we talked about. And the thing is, with that pacing issue,
Yeah.
what about the 5v5 rumors? Do you think that helps at all? If the game does go back to 5v5, could we see
I don't-
I
does
don't-
that help at all?
I don't think it goes back. I don't think it goes back.
I think it depends on who they pick up, honestly.
I personally
To help,
think
we need to pick up another third fast sub for that to help.
5v5 makes pacing less important, honestly, because it is literally just headbutt hills.
Yeah, it makes teamwork and pacing less important, which is
Now
why I don't,
setups are still a thing.
that's why I don't want to see 5v5.
Yeah, I personally would
pacing
not
and
like to see
teamwork-
5v5 back.
I don't want
like-
5v5 back.
Like, segueing to those 5v5 rumors, I definitely think those 5v5 rumors are complete bullshit.
Oh yeah, it's
I
100%
mean,
bullshit.
the guy on Twitter literally pulled a poster of 5 task force operatives from campaign mode and was like, "Oh, teamwork is everything. This must mean 5v5." No, it's a campaign. It's a promotional campaign poster. Like, calm down. It's not 5v5. I mean, the COD League knows the reception they got for 5v5 in 2019. 5v5 worked for one game, and that was BO4. And that was because BO4 was a
Stim.
goddamn masterclass of game.
And had stim.
Competitively.
I think 5v5 with stim healing and stim rechalling makes teamwork a lot more valuable.
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
And I think that you see in the game with MW, yes, teamwork's still important, obviously. Teamwork's always important, but it's less important when you can just headbutt a hill and there's not really, like, you don't have to take a flank. You can just hit the front of the hill and throw nades and tacks
You hit the front of the hill
get
and you
kills.
win trays and you get an instant break.
You can literally have a designated flank guy that
Yeah,
just does
pretty
that
much.
every
Yeah.
single
Just
life.
instantly. Now, the biggest thing I hate about 5v5 is that big time plays have such less impact.
Yeah.
Mhm.
A 2-piece does absolutely nothing for your team in 5v5. It does nothing. Like, it does jack shit. Like, you could pop a 2 or a 3 and it doesn't matter. You're not getting a break.
Yeah,
Unless your
especially-
teammates get the
especially
other
the
two
spawn
traits.
system in MW2 is like the spawn system in 2019 MW. Like you get like
No, please.
like
Not
kills
squad
don't
spawns.
matter.
We just went back to that today. The spawning's not good.
These are not one squad spawns.
No, please.
I can tell you that.
I do think.
Division.
Never mind.
I think since we all know that rumors of 5v5, we don't really think they have any substance to them. What if we move on to stuff we would like to see for MW2 in terms of the CDL?
I think we all made it very clear that
And
we don't want
competitive
squad
play in
spawns. Really clear.
Yeah, we don't want squad spawns.
But let's be honest, it's probably gonna happen.
Yeah.
Probably.
For the CDL, I would honestly.
Bring back Veldy.
So my biggest thing is you could
Valley
argue
won't be
this is a
back.
little
He's
bit
in
of a hot take.
Rainbow again.
You could argue that this is a little bit of a hot take, but if the Vegas Legion refuse to not pay players above a minimum salary, I think that their owner should be forced to sell. I think it would be a clear showing by the Vegas Legion management and ownership that they do not care about the growth of the CDL, they do not care about the players, and they do not care about Call of Duty, and I think they should be forced to sell their spot.
But can they be forced to sell legally?
Yeah. Oh, it's private league. It's just like the NFL or the NBA.
Oh, there's also a contract, and it would
Doesn't
have
matter.
to be
Perfect
voided.
example is Donald Sterling with the Clippers. Guy said some racist stuff. Adam Silver forced him to sell his team. He had to. He did not have a choice. When you buy ownership stake in a team like that, you make a choice to where is basically you are at the CDL's will.
I agree.
Now, if Vegas
I
were
think
to sell,
you have to.
who do you think would replace him? Would we see that Washington
We don't know
team
that.
come back?
If Vegas were to sell, who I think is most likely to replace them, I
Washington.
honestly, Rise Nation. I think Rise.
Yeah, I could
Oh,
see that.
okay.
Rise has been. I mean,
Or Energy.
you could literally go to Rise's owner's Twitter. He has been fiending to get back into
I
Call
think
of Duty
NRG's
for
out.
years. He has been wanting to get into Call of Duty so badly again. And I think even with expansion, when expansion happens, which we're going to talk about in a second, I think that Rise's owner is going to be at the top of that list on teams who could and should join the CDL.
I think
Now-
just with the history behind Rise, they need to
Oh,
join
yeah.
the CDL anyway.
Oh, yeah. Now, going into the expansion topic, teams that I personally think and would like to see in the CDL are teams like Rise, Cloud9, United. If their management becomes less shitty, I don't like what they did to Spartan and the Halo scene.
We need
But
a Spanish
I
team.
mean, United has been United was before expansion. United was a staple of Call of Duty, you know.
Yeah.
100%.
But teams like that, I think those are my three top teams that I would like to see into the Call of Duty league.
Penguin, what'd you say?
We need a Spanish team. There's way too much talent and EU challengers on the Spanish side to not have a
Like a
Spanish
heretic. Like a heretics from
Guys
BO4.
like Journey and Metals, they're really good. They've proved
Eric
that they can
Boone.
compete with the best.
100%.
Yeah, I mean, even in BO4, that Heretics team proved that they can compete with the best.
I just don't
Yeah.
think Heretics has 25 million to spend on it.
No, I don't.
That's the biggest issue. The money is the biggest issue.
Yeah.
Because
Now,
right now, the
Personally, with an
CDL,
expansion, I don't think that the buy-in will be 25 million. I think it'll go down to like 15.
I don't think it can be. I think all that's been going on with Activision, all that's been going on with everything, the CDL hasn't showed that you can make your money back if you're investing that much money into it.
I think Activision knows nobody is going to buy into a $25 million buy-in spot league.
Unless you
Nobody's
could-
going to do it.
Now, teams like Optic, they can make their money back and everything over their branding and marketing and everything, but not every COD team is going to have that.
Yeah, no average team is going to do that. I
Most-
definitely
most
think
is
that the
free.
buy-in is going to come back down into the realm of possibility for a lot of these smaller teams, like the 10 to 15 million.
It needs to. But will they do it is the question.
I think they will. I think Activision knows that they have to. If they want the CDL to continue, they have to do it. They do not have enough teams. If you look at the Overwatch League, every year, every offseason the Overwatch League has had, they have added at least one team. The CDL is 3 years in, and we still have 12 teams. I mean, for fuck's sake, there was rumors that we would have 10 at the beginning of this year because
Yeah.
Paris was going to sell their spot, and then nobody was
Optic.
going to buy the Huntsman spot. So there was rumors that the league was going to shrink. The way it is right now, the CDL will not survive or sustain with the approach that they are taking right now with the buy-in. It won't happen.
Absolutely.
Agree.
So, with that, going into, league analytics and stuff like that, CDL Intel or Crone posted earlier today that 2023 roster rules updates. So, team options are allowed to be exercised on August 14th at 11:59 PST. FAs can officially sign new contracts on August 22nd at 12. 3-year deals in the CDL are now allowed, so I think we're going to see a lot of big 3-year deals. The minimum salary was adjusted to $55,225, and now I think this is the biggest thing, and kind of, in my opinion, hints towards a players' association possibly being able to be formed. is teams and organizations must distribute at least 50% of their prize pool earnings to players, which is a far cry from the previous 80% that the teams could keep.
That's criminal. That's absolutely criminal.
What do
I
you
thought it
think
was
about that?
80%.
Yeah.
Very criminal.
It should have been.
I
50
think
from
I think the
start.
biggest thing about all of this news is that we are seeing what like the NBA is going through a lot too is a player movement.
Yeah.
Everything geared towards the players,
Yeah.
and I think that is
Player league.
great, and I think that's amazing. I think that's exactly what we need. But my only reservation with all of it is it going to less incentivize teams to like come into the league if we want expansion? Is my only thing that it worries me. It does worry me a little bit.
I think it could, but I think if the buy-in is lowered to like a $15 million,
That's a
I
big
think
if,
you'll
though.
see a lot of these teams like Rise, who have multimillionaires, former sports players, backing their league or backing their teams. Like I think you could see teams like that are owned by like former NFL and NBA players, like Rise or like G1, who's owned by Kenny Vaccaro. I think you could see teams like this that already have that financial backing because their owners were successful in a previous career before they chose to endeavor in esports, join the league.
That's a big if. I feel like we're going on an if whether they make the buy-in less than $25 million.
Like I said earlier on my earlier point, I think they have to. I think Activision is fully aware of the situation that they are in financially with the CDL. So whereas at this point, the CDL as a league is a money pit. Activision, I feel like, is burning money, especially because at the Cold War season, when the whole sexual assault allegations hit Activision, so many sponsors left. They lost all of their major sponsors for the league. I think they are fully aware going into the offseason the situation that they are in and that they need to make a drastic change very quickly, or else the CDL is at risk of going under. Because Activision is a very monetarily based company, just like EA, to whereas they don't want their bottom line affected at all. And if the CDL affects their bottom line, they're not going to do it.
Yeah, but will they drop? Will they just drop it though? That's the other thing. Will they just drop the league?
I think they would. I honestly think they would.
Just instead of dropping the buy-in, do you think they would just drop the league? That's what I'm asking. Do you think they'll just cancel the league, exit out?
I think they would drop the league before they drop the buy-in and find a way to make money with the CWL again.
Yeah.
I definitely think they would drop the league before they drop the buy-in.
I agree. I fully agree with that.
Hey, Bagel.
But my thing is, I don't think they are going to be able to make enough money off of the CWL for it to be worth them dropping the league.
I was just making sure you're still here.
He's been a little quiet over there.
You haven't had much to say.
Just chilling down there. Probably
What's your
having
thoughts,
reading
Bagel?
this right now.
Hey, guy might not have any hot takes.
no hot
Not
There
right
you go.
now, nah.
no hot takes that I
So-
have, Bagel.
Now, with the whole Crone tweet, who do you think, players-wise, could we see getting a 3-year deal?
Attach.
100%.
I definitely think Dylan could get a 3-year. I think Paco could get
Hydra,
a 3-year.
Hydra, and attach. Hydra and attach.
Maybe
Yeah.
Shotzi.
I think those are probably the only two players.
Damp. Abizi.
No, I mean like
But
free
they're not
agents
up yet.
right now. Yeah, I
They're
mean
not-
free.
they're
I
not free
mean
agents
current
right
free agents.
You can re-sign before, though.
Yeah, only if it's on your last year though.
Illy is
A lot
I
of
don't
players
know- I
signed a
don't know
1+1,
if
so they won't be able to re-sign until next year.
Billy's technically a free agent, but personally, if I'm signing that contract, are we 100% sure that his injury's gone?
I mean,
has
he
the
was-
whole
Do I sign-
season to like rest it.
I know, but people were speculating that his thumb was bothering him in the LAT series the way they were getting horked on, and the way he specifically was getting horked on.
I mean,
What I'm
I
saying.
mean, at the end of that hard point, he was 9-13. He finished 12-31.
the thing that worries
That's
me
bad.
about Illy is we saw this happen to Alex in MW. When he got his injury in MW, he came back in Cold War and was absolute dog shit. Now that London team wasn't
Yeah.
doing him any favors. They were absolutely terrible. But he was majority the problem. And will we
That
see
is a good
happen
point. I
with
forgot
Italy?
about the Alex injury.
Yeah,
And I mean,
Italy is-
Tommy Zuma had the same thing, and he tried to tell Illy that a cortisone shot is not going to help. In the long run, it's just going to make it worse. And they didn't listen. I think Tommy should be the person that you do listen to about hand injuries like that. I mean, Tommy's hand injury ended his career. The only reason Tommy retired was because he couldn't do it anymore.
Mhm.
He couldn't do the 8-hour days anymore. And he's made that very clear on the flank before.
Yes.
Like I know, like, people like to joke, oh, esports aren't physically taxing, but when you're putting that many hours, and especially when players play claw,
Yeah.
it is very taxing on your hand joints. It leads to arthritis at a very early age.
It does.
And like that's why I refuse to play claw. I played claw when I was like 16. I refuse to do it now because
I
I've
tried to
seen
do
what
it once,
hands.
and that's for the birds.
Like
Young and
I've
cracked.
seen, yeah, I've seen what it does to hands, and I don't want that to happen to my hands. I don't want to have arthritis when I'm 25.
Bagel, do you play claw?
No, I don't. I play regularly.
I don't think any of us play claw unless you do.
I do not play claw.
You don't, because I don't think Colin does.
No. I play with Scuff.
Yeah.
I feel like there's no.
That's-
But like I know personally kids that play claw, and I tell them stop doing it. Play bumper jumper. Don't play claw. Or get a scuff or get a battle beaver with good back buttons. Do not play claw.
And bumper jumper. Like, there's no reason.
Like, yeah, there's no reason for you to play claw.
Yeah, I'd like
You
to be
can
able
get-
to hold a TV remote.
You can get a battle beaver with 6 back buttons. There is no reason for you to play claw. You do
I feel
not
like
need to. Do not ruin
Scump
your
plays
hand.
claw. Does Scump play
A
claw?
lot of
No.
pros play
A
claw.
lot of pros play claw.
A
I
lot
know,
of
but I'm
pros play
talking
claw.
about longevity wise. That's why I was wondering about Scump. I don't
Yeah,
know about
that's-
Cram or Clay.
No,
I
a
do not-
lot of young pro subs play claw.
Yeah.
And I think that's a big thing that we're going to see with like guys like Tommy. I think a lot of these
You
younger
play claw.
pros, they're not going to have the longevity that Seth has. They're going to be out of the league by 24, 25 because their hands are going to be destroyed.
Especially with these faster paced games, it's not like
Yeah,
VO2.
with tack sprint too.
Yeah.
Tack sprint on claw destroys your hands.
I agree.
Any final thoughts, brother?
Nah, everything sounds good.
Nothing? No final thoughts?
Nothing from the big stream.
I freaking hate everything about Florida right now.
Hey, he's so tired.
I want to go cry.
Yeah, I gotta wake up in like 5.5 hours for work.
Well,
All right.
I think that's a wrap. That was episode 1. Thank you
Alright.
all for tuning in if you're still here. Follow the socials.
Make sure to follow us
At
on
All
Twitter.
Spawn Podcast on Twitter.
Yes, sir.
Like, subscribe, do all that good shit. And let us know what your thoughts for the Vanguard season were, and maybe some roster predictions of your own in the comments. Thanks for
Alright.
watching.
Peace.